Tales from my D&D campaign.
Previously,
you will almost certainly be destroyed in a direct confrontation with them,
while inflicting a mere 1.5 casualties in return.
I need both my halves. We will do no more harm here. All we want now is Lord Kintamazu's safe return.
You give us your aid in one battle of our choosing, and instead of curing one, you protect all of us from the plague, like how we were already protected.
It may be possible to empower the spiritling using our personal karma. If we're negotiating again, we want the gold too.
Whatever.
How can we trust these guys?
It feels like their whole thing is making and keeping deals.
But they need to stop getting sidetracked, and get those spoons to Vistria. Their plan had been to fight their way through the Diluvian-occupied nation of Varandi, the homeland of Draven's ancestors. For the dangerous winter journey, they had already bought cheap magic travel cloaks that protect the wearers from cold, unfurl into tents, and conjure hot and cold drinks for the wearers. But their recent adventure had given them a new option. They had harvested not only the Eldritch Eye from the Goo Man, but 2 more from the Umber Hulk they had slain. Only the 2 large Confusion Eyes contained enough magic to count. This all means that instead of spending 2 winter months trekking through enemy ground, Draven can spend an Eldritch Eye to cast a powerful teleport spell to instantly transport them all to any location that is familiar to him, such as his house in Vistria, or the headquarters of the religious order that he and Black work for. Now, you can't bring any Eldritch Eyes with you when you teleport. They get depleted in the process. But if you have 2, you can set up a ritual to allow a round trip. So they store the extra one in a deposit box with one of the banks, and start making arrangements to leave this part of the continent, at least for a few weeks. I've been away for over 6 months. I should probably pick up some kind of gift for my wife.
You have a wife?
He does. And a son. You should probably get her something.
So they are finally about to deliver the magical artifact spoons, feeding thousands of starving people and making over 50,000 gold out of the deal. But Little One's like, before we do that, I want to gather some dragon scales to make my new armor. You want to fight a dragon? That sounds dangerous. Nah, we shouldn't have to fight a dragon. We may have to fight a giant army of Diluvians.
Okay.
I'm okay with killing KTs. Wait. No dragon? How does that work, Little One? It was at this point that Little One explained what the other players already knew out of character. My mother was a bronze dragon. She raised me in a cave on the coast of the Peace Bond. That's why my name is Little One. I thought that was an ironic nickname. Like Tiny, or Little John.
How did they...
She could take human form.
Oh. What about your father?
Never met him.
So he's dead?
No idea. And don't much care. He left before I was born. Little One's mother, Lady Visaris, the Bronze Dragon, had educated him about many things, trained him to fight and to resist magic, but he had spent little time in society during his formative years. Regardless, his mother had been slain by the Diluvians years ago, and now that Little One had the skill and the money to craft proper dragon scale armor, he wanted to go back one last time and collect some scales shed by his mother. It seemed only fitting that she would protect him once more. The logistical problem with collecting those dragon scales, which were more sentimental than actually relevant in terms of game stats, was that the cave was on the Laric coast, a day and a half behind the border of the Diluvian-controlled Peace Bond area. But it's important to Little One, so the others are willing to go, more or less. They leave Daggerface behind in Bankton, worried it would be too dangerous for him, and they bring their pair of Eldritch Eyes with them, just in case they need to teleport out, though their plan is still to return to the city and pick up the dwarf before teleporting, because that's a much better destination if they make the return trip. Crossing into the Peace Bond is easy, as Little One's penetrating gaze confirms there are no invisible guards anywhere near the Shark-Toothed border. But the further in they go, the greater the chance of being spotted. They make the trip on horseback, because although the added height made them visible against the snow at a greater distance, the trip would be twice as long on foot, giving the servants of the evil empire far more time to detect them and to organize a response. The weather cooperated with light to moderate snowfall and winds, such that their tracks were barely visible within a few hours of their passing. And they come upon one small patrol, but these are just regular soldiers who rely on their invisibility cloaks, and stand out like a sore thumb against the white ground, to Little One's enhanced vision. And Little One's like, how close will we come to them? On your present course, you'll pass within about 50 feet. Then I'll try to silently alert the others with hand signals, but without changing our course. If we can get within 50 feet of the nearest guy, I can easily move over there and slam-bam him.
Is that a technical term?
They haven't worked out this communication in advance, but it's not hard to get across that something is up. And then, just by keeping steady on his present course and pace, Little One gives the others the idea that they should do the same. When they come into range, Little One charges the invisible fishman, and the others join in with predictable results. Though most of them can't attack until after the KT's break invis, they demolish the small scouting patrol. So I guess we bury the bodies, just cover them in snow?
First we loot them.
I mean after that. You know what? Them. They're evil murderers and slavers. Why should we treat their dead with any respect? Do we know their burial traditions?
It's certainly not common knowledge, since it's so rare that the elite troops on land suffer any casualties, what with their invisibility and other alchemy.
I don't know what they do at sea, but on land, they normally burn their dead, with a brief ceremony.
Why do you always know so much about Kuatoa?
I trained to kill them. Actually, I just got a recipe for a poison which requires organs from 10 KTs. I'm already a third of the way there.
Normally, I try to be respectful of the dead. Treating the KT like this, I don't care. And so, rather than try to hide the bodies, they make an example of them, impaling the Diluvian corpses on stakes as a warning to others. They ride on for another 2 hours before encountering another patrol. This time, though Little One spots some of them, he misses an enemy scout who is able to both get in close and alert the others, such that each side is about equally surprised and or alerted to the other's presence. Draven's Shield of Faith, Legion spell buffs their armor class enough that regular Diluvian minions miss them most of the time, especially Black with his heavy armor. And the party cuts through them quickly, especially when they move in to attack Angel, since her spike chain's reach plus combat reflexes gives her all kinds of free attacks against them. And Draven shoots 2 minions per round with his crossbow, though he somehow misses this same guy 2 rounds in a row, despite killing every other one he targets. And the scout keeps missing Black, and he's like,
"Stop trying to hit me and hit me!"
because he recently picked up a retributive amulet, which lets him inflict half the damage from a melee hit back on the attacker 3 times a day. But apparently he was getting mad, because he scores his second critical hit of the battle.
"I'm coming up from the bottom. I'm gonna lift this guy."
After the fight, conversation devolves to the question of how best to deface the bodies of the fallen enemies.
We could put them on glaives this time. I'm thinking roasting spits.
What about the value of consistency?
That seems like a lost opportunity. I think we should do something different every time. What if we set up an ambush by disguising Black? We can just cover you in hides, bloody dead Kuatoa.
That would make a pretty big Kuatoa.
Also, bloody.
In the end, they bow to Little One's expertise in the art of gruesome mockery, beheading the bodies, impaling them upside down on stakes, then planting the head on top. So, basically their heads are up their butts. They ride on for a few more hours until darkness falls. Now they have a decision to make. They need to rest. Not so much for spells as just because humanoids need rest and they've been riding all day long. Little One says they're fairly close to their destination. It's only about 2 hours ride from here. Angel, as a Whisper Gnome, and Little One with his draconic heritage, both have dark vision and low light vision. But riding through the night without a light source would be difficult for the human members of the party, and riding with a light source after dark would make them visible from miles away, much worse than dark horses on white snow in daylight. Plus, in rules terms, they can only travel about 1 more hour before suffering from fatigue, which would give them penalties to a bunch of things if they did get into combat. So Draven casts Rope Trick, a low-level spell that becomes really powerful once her caster level gets up to 8 or so, because it makes a small extra-dimensional space, invisible from the outside, where you can hide and rest for 1 hour per caster level. Now, the KTs can see invisible stuff, but the opening is a horizontal plane, so they'd have to be pretty close to spot it. After a couple hours of rest, on Angel's watch, she's hiding down on the ground level when she spots torches in the distance. Dozens of torches, maybe more.
Yeah, they are coming in this general direction.
You think they know where we are?
If they discovered one of the patrols we killed, they could have guessed our general course from our tracks. Unless things have changed a lot, the KTs have a settlement down near the coast, maybe 10 miles from the cave.
That's probably where they think we are headed.
But it seems like if they run now, they'll be caught for sure. So Angel sends the horses away, creating a decoy trail and possibly drawing their attention elsewhere. Then she does her best to hide their tracks all around the portal, and climbs up the ephemeral rope ladder, which they then pull up behind her, gambling that if they keep their hideaway dark against the night sky, even the Kuo-toa might not see it unless they're almost directly underneath and looking up. The approaching army gets very close, and the heroes huddle in the dark, peering down through their portal 20 feet above the ground, whispering to one another.
I still think we can take them. There are like 100 of them. Logically, if there are that many, most of them must be minions. They could barely hit us at all.
Even if we wanted them to.
They could also have a strong commander. If they are this close and haven't spotted us, they may not be able to. Maybe their vision is more limited than we thought.
They don't have proper dark vision. That's why they need the torches. Come on, killing 100 guys would be so epic. That might make them think twice about their whole stupid occupation.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't overreact and start invading the rest of Laric or something silly like that.
That sounds bad.
They each have gear that sells for like 300 gold. There's a fortune just wandering towards us. I do like fortune, and I can kill a lot with combat reflexes.
More than 100 of anything is dangerous, and Diluvians are worse. Usually every one of them has at least one alchemical flask, which is a touch attack. Those rarely miss, so there's like 100 d6 damage out there.
I do like surviving.
Little One's not getting a whole lot of support, and the player is a little less confident than his character, though no less excited to try. So they wait and watch through the one-way invisible portal, and it gets very tense as part of the enemy search formation passes underneath them. The whole party is ready to leap or fly down and engage in an all-out battle to the death at the first sign that they've been spotted. But they don't get spotted, because it turns out that Kuo-toa don't precisely see the invisible as all the stories say, but rather their ability to spot motion is so finely honed that they can detect even motion that should be invisible or ethereal. Thus, by standing perfectly still, it is still possible for an invisible character to hide from them. After the large force passes by and is well clear of their position, they decide to push onward tonight, rather than try to rest through more patrols and then move in daylight. Angel casts Expeditious Retreat, gathering the horses within a few minutes, and they ride on through the night, those with dark vision leading the horses of those who can see nothing in the nearly moonless darkness. Soon, suffering from fatigue, they reach a rocky ridge close to the shoreline, where Little One leads them to a crevice which looks too narrow to squeeze through, and shows them that even Black can make it, if he removes his armor. Right after this seemingly impassable barrier, the space widens, and after winding downward for a couple more bends, it opens into the first chamber of a cave.
This is the back entrance. Mum could squeeze through here in human form, but round the corner is a larger cavern leading to an underwater tunnel that she could swim in and out as a dragon. She had warded the tunnel so that a KT could look right at it and not see it, not find it. They really wanted to find her too. She terrorized their forces on land after they invaded Verandi. She used to swoop in, devastate the Kuo-toa troops, and free the slaves, or if they were too afraid to go renegade, she'd just scare them into retreating.
She actually had a major impact on the course of the invasion and occupation for several decades. Between the Bronze Lady and the Laric counter-invasion, the war became a whole lot more expensive than the Diluvians ever predicted. So you lived in this little place until you were a teenager?
I got out a little. And there's also a private sandy beach next door. Sheer rock cliff on 3 sides. We used to practice fighting there, mostly at night.
He guides them over to a little pile of rubble against a wall, and with Black's help, he moves the loose rocks away, revealing a hole that leads to a space the size of a large closet.
So she did stash something away from me.
Inside a small chest, he finds a bronze amulet his mother had forged, encasing within it a drop of her own blood. It gives +2 constitution, can prevent 2d6 spell damage to the wearer 3 times per day, and gives a +1 bonus to hit Kuo-toa. Finding a chest is normally pretty exciting for Angel, but this one pretty clearly belonged to Little One, so as Draven was identifying the amulet, she wandered off, checking out the other part of the cave.
Guys? There's some guy standing here. Who would be standing in my cave?
But it turns out the stranger is... Next time, on Tales from My D&D Campaign. Your mother was a dragon.
Yep.
A dragon.
Yes.
Your mother was a dragon.
Yes.
She was a dragon.
Yes. My mother was a bronze dragon.
A dragon.
Yes.
Seriously, a dragon.
Yes.
Do you have a tail?